the Your Live Event Robotics Show here on yourliveevent.com. Here with a member of 8188 Grand Forks out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. His name is Gabriel. And Gabriel, we may be having a couple more of your teammates jump in during the call. But just kind of getting started of things. I know you guys were just at Worlds this couple weeks or last week or so. Just overall, how do you think the visit went for you guys?
I think it did really well for us for a 5-person team and how well we did.
Okay. And what was a couple moments that stood out to you most about Worlds?
Mm, Probably our record and meeting with other teams.
Okay. Do you know what your guys' record was at the top of your head?
I think it was 6-4.
Okay. So a nice winning record there. And you said you met a couple teams down there. Do you know where a couple of them were from?
Um, well, we chatted with 118 a little. We went to their open house, and that was fun. We got to see all their past robots and talk to them.
Okay. And besides the robotics competition, what else was there down at Worlds? Because I know there was a bunch of other activities to do, and I guess what were some other things you guys did down there?
Um, we mainly other things. It was mainly just centered around robotics. I mean, some of us went and looked at the innovation fair, but yeah.
Okay. It looks like we're having another one jumping in, so we'll kind of move over to them whenever they're ready. But yeah, I mean, just overall, what was the thing that stood out to you most about Worlds this year?
Just meeting with the teams in general and seeing everyone and competing. I mean,
Okay. And was the
basically.
size of it a little overwhelming at first, or not really?
Mm, I mean, the size was okay for me. It so I mean, it was larger than the past Worlds competition I went to because I was previously in Vex. So since Vex is just smaller, it was just smaller in general. But I mean, I had some knowledge of how big it would be, so it wasn't terribly overwhelming.
Okay. And Brylan, I see that if you're there, feel free to jump in. But Gabriel, I know you mentioned that this isn't your first time down at Worlds and that you were down at Vex, but was this your first year in First Robotics?
Yes.
Okay. And just overall, how do you think it? I know you guys went down to the world competition, but just overall, how in the season as a whole, how do you think that went?
I think it went pretty well
Okay.
for how big we were and how we did.
Okay. And you were talking about how you guys are a five-person team. So yeah, you just want to tell us a little bit about your guys as a team, maybe your individual roles. Now that I see Brylan's cameras on, so if you guys just want to quickly touch up on some of your guys' roles on the team, yeah, just tell us what you guys do.
So it's my first year, so I'm just learning everything right now. I mean, I still haven't learned everything, but I would like to learn a little bit in everything. So then next year I can pick my role on the team. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Brian. Sorry, I'm a little late.
Now go right ahead.
I'm one of the seniors on the team. My role this year was programmer. Because it was such a small team, I was the only programmer, and that's basically all I did. I did mechanical in the previous years, but we lost our programmer from last year, so I had to do that. So.
Okay. And Brylan, we talked with Gabe a little bit about the World Convention, but just overall, what did you think of the convention, and what were maybe a couple moments that stood out to you most about it?
Yeah, it was really impressive. I don't think I've ever been in a building that big. It was really cool to be able to see all the teams there. You know, some of those big name teams like Cheesy Poos and Robonauts and 1690. That was a really cool experience. I thought they ran it really well. Um, I was I was able to stay for the Einstein finals. I think that was really cool to be able to see that. That's something I'll definitely remember for a while. But yeah, it was impressive. It was very impressive.
And you mentioned that you were a senior this year. Just overall, what's it like to be able to kind of go out on top and at a world convention?
Um, it was great. I'm really glad we were able to make it. Um, yeah, it's just I've I've been on the team for like 5 years, you know, and being able to finally get to that point, being able to make it is really it's satisfying and I'm thankful. So
Yeah, it's kind of unique here because we're with a person who's in their first year of first robotics and then a person in their fifth and final year of first robotics. So I guess, Brylan, when it comes to like having this wide age range of members on your team, just overall, did you kind of also play like a mentorship role for maybe players like Gabe?
yeah, a little bit for sure. It's it was kind of, you know, something where it was like I and the other senior, um, were I guess we're the team captains, kind of sort of. When you have five people, it's almost irrelevant. But it was really cool having Gabriel and there was some other newer kids and being able to just kind of watch their enthusiasm for it and their interest and being able to show them stuff because you know Zane, who's the other senior, and I we've learned a lot over the 5 years. We've made a lot of mistakes and just being able to kind of explain, you know, as we're like looking at this and talking about this, being able to explain to them like this is why we think this because of this, and then we can like tell them a story about a previous robot. It's like this was the problem with this one. This is why we're not doing that with this one. So yeah, that was cool.
Awesome. And just taking a look, this one, next one's for Gabriel because you're not going to be in it next year. But I know they also kind of teased a water theme for next year, Gabriel. And I guess is that something you're kind of looking forward to next year?
Yes, I have several ideas of game pieces, but there's just a lot of them.
And what do you think maybe a couple of those game pieces could be?
Pool noodle coral.
And Brylan, being this in your last year, were you a little jealous when you heard the theme, or were you
Yeah,
like, oh, no, I'm good. We don't have to deal with that.
I mean, I'm a little jealous, I guess. It's always been something that's been a little, I don't know. It seems like a lot of teams, a lot of people want it and have been demanding it for the past few years. So it was really funny because they teased it at Einstein finals. And when when they I don't know if you've seen like the reveal video type of deal, you know,
I
when
have
they kind of
not.
talk about oh you haven't. Okay. Well, it was really funny because when it came out and there's a bit of the video where like you suddenly realize like, oh, this is a water game, the whole place just went nuts. And it was really funny to watch. So yeah, I'm a little jealous. I'll probably be helping to mentor this team a little next year, so I'll be able to get my feet wet a little, no pun intended, I guess, with that game next year. But yeah, Gabriel has a lot to look forward to, I think. I'm sure it'll be a fun game to do. So
Awesome. And what are your plans for next year, Brian? I know you mentioned coming back in a mentorship role, but are you going like, do you have like college plans, straight to workforce? What's your ultimate plans?
I'll be going to UND next year. I'll be going for computer science, and piano performance. So.
And did robotics kind of influence you to go into like a computer science role, or is that something you wanted to do and then joined robotics?
Well, I'd say definitely it played a part in it. I was also considering mechanical engineering for a very long time too. Um, I think I made the interest came to me about the same time I was joining robotics. So I wouldn't say that robotics directly influenced me in that direction, but I've learned a lot from robotics that I think I can take and apply to this career. So yeah, the experience is definitely very helpful.
Okay. Then one final question for each of you before we get going here today. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but just overall, can you each just give me maybe one or two reasons why someone should consider joining robotics? Like if they're like maybe thinking of joining a school organization, why should robotics be the one they choose?
You can go first, Gabriel.
You learn a lot from robotics, and you learn how to do stuff you wouldn't learn how to do if you just did like music or something. Like you learn how to actually like code something to do what you want it to do. Well, music has some of the like it's just really helpful because then you have like a workforce around that certain thing. So then it's an easier little step than if you do another thing and then you don't go professional in it. You have to find a job and you have to learn all these new steps and then you have to do the job. But if you've been already doing that job, then it's not as big of a step and it's easier for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely say, something similar to that. The learning opportunities that come with FIRST are really, really beneficial. The with our mentors being college students, like for example, we have to do some CAD software, and my one mentor, he's a master in mechanical engineering. He's just finishing that degree this year, and I'm not very good at CAD. And he told me, well, you're probably better than like 50% of mechanical engineering majors because you just don't learn that kind of stuff necessarily in college or in high school, especially. And being able to have that experience and being able to know how to do this stuff really it helps you stand out a little bit more, I think, and it really sets you up for success later in life, and it's just really invaluable. So like, yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. The program is fantastic, and I think it translates quite well to the real world. So
Awesome. And before we get going here today, was there anything else that you guys wanted to share either about robotics, worlds, team shout outs, just anything else like that before we get going and while you have this platform here today?
I don't know. Yes, shout out to mentors. They're always a big part of it. And 876 too. I'm sure you're familiar with them in Northwood. It was really nice being able to work with them on this season. So
Awesome. Did Caden or Gabriel want to share anything else either?
Um, I can't say for sure what's been spoken for already because I just got on the call. Just I just got back from a track meet, so.
Awesome. Well, just overall, Caden, I'll ask you a quick question here, just for you. You guys just got back from Worlds. Just overall, what did you think of the overall experience?
I mean, it was a great time seeing all the different countries represented, how the teams that kind of idolized in a sense the whole season, how they were just other teams. Granted, have better robots, but other than that, they're just like us. I mean, seeing that gap kind of get closed was really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys here for your time here today. Sorry we couldn't fit in more time for you here today, Caden, but again, I appreciate you guys jumping on the call when you guys were able to. And yeah, again, thanks for thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
that
thank
was
you.
this is Gabriel, Brylan, and Caden from team number 8188 Grand Force out of Grand Forks, which is kind of a tongue twister, but then again, thanks again.
Thank you.
Engineering, architecture, land surveying, environmental services. We have the experience to tackle all manner of projects. Widseth is known as a firm that is solid, agile, and versatile. And that's the kind of reliability you can expect when you engage us on your project.
They are invested in our community. They are invested with our people. They're going to create a product that's going to exceed our expectations every single time. That is why we go with Widseth.
At Enbridge, we believe sustainability is the foundation of our success. How well we perform as a steward of our environment, a safe operator of essential energy infrastructure, a good neighbor, and a diverse employer defines our success. Learn more about Enbridge's environmental, social, and governance commitments and our Indigenous Reconciliation Plan at enbridge.com.
A foundation forged in their grandfather's shop. Matt and Mike Martins know firsthand the value of quality machinery. At Martins Welding and Machine, they rely on 3 generations of knowledge and expertise in creating quality products for farmers, ranchers, residents, and businesses across North Dakota and beyond. To browse their full selection of bin caps, bale feeders, rock lifts, disc attachments, and more, visit martinswelding.com. Also ask about their garage doors. Martins Welding and Machine. Matt and Mike will make it right.
This is Chris from RDK Enterprises, your local precision planting dealer. Manage what you can to overcome what you cannot. Farming is all about preparing your operation to be successful when given an opportunity. Invest a few minutes and bring in your seed meters to be reconditioned and calibrated. We have some room, so give us a call and we can help you overcome those simple obstacles. RDK Enterprises, 636-2119 or planterdoc.com.
Welcome back to the YLE Event Robotics Show. I'm here with, the man of 1,000 hats, Curtis. The one I will announce is he is the mentor for the 4480s UC Robotics, but like I said before, has 1,001 different hats that he puts on. First and foremost, Curtis, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate the time.
Oh, no, and right back at you. Always appreciate your time and always love having you on. It's always one of those segments that I'm like, we could have got another 4 hours if we really wanted to.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Yes. And with that being said, we do have a few things to go over. So let's actually just hop right into it. Let's actually talk about Worlds. That happened a week ago in Houston again.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, were you down in Houston?
I was actually. There was a small collective of teachers and coaches and mentors. We received a grant essentially to help pay our way to go down to watch and participate in the workshops and just get the experience, you could say.
Right. So, let's start there. How was the experience? How was Worlds for you?
So Worlds was hosted in Houston, Texas, for those who are unaware, and it's hosted at the George Brown Convention Center. And to put it lightly, it was busy. And I say busy on a good note, because if you've attended one of our regional competitions, you see how there is a single field and you have somewhere like mid 50s, 60s in terms of quantities of teams competing at any given time. And each team brings anywhere from 5 to 30 students. Well, you got to multiply that by 8. They had 8 FRC fields there side by side. And they actually put not 50 or 60 teams, but 75 on each field collectively. And so there was about 600 teams present for the entirety of the event. And then you multiply that by how many students and mentors and parents and spectators. The total event, I think they said the attendance rate was about 50 to 55,000 people there at the center through the course of the 3-4 days that we were watching and viewing the exhibits and workshops and otherwise. So it was busy, to put it lightly.
It was busy, but busy in a good way. It wasn't like, oh,
yes.
Okay. So
it was a fantastic opportunity for us. And I only speak on the FRC part because FIRST has multiple levels. There's a FIRST Tech Challenge, FTC, which is kind of a junior varsity preparation program for FRC. Mm-hmm. And then they had the FIRST Lego League challenges going on at the same time too, which is the elementary programs, K through 6, K through 8 officially. And so we had all 3 of those in the same event center going on at the same time. Plus they had educational workshops like what teachers typically end up paying to go to for professional development. And the workshops varied from like how to program to getting started with teams and whatnot. And this year, Kirk Anderson from Bemidji was invited to participate in a workshop with the Unified Robotics program that he kicked off this year in the state. And I, as along with Jenny Engel and my wife, also participated in a presentation on rural robotics, kind of the getting started and showing that it can happen for rural schools. So it was a great experience.
Absolutely. Now, I always, whenever anybody travels, I have to ask this because I love food, right?
Oh, yes.
We went down to Houston. What'd you have to eat? Did you go anywhere that stands out and you think really good?
Well, I think it was our first or our second night there. We went to a place called the J Bar M, and it's a barbecue joint. Oh. They're the type that spend the morning making it in order for evening's service type deal. And so it's a long day barbecue, and it was fabulous enough so that we went a second time. So it was great.
Okay. Best barbecue in your life, or is it like, oh no,
it's quite up there? Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. I always love learning where the people go.
Oh, definitely.
And everything like that. So
it was awesome.
So World seems like it was a great trip.
100%.
Okay, fantastic.
A little warm to my liking. It was 88 and humid. So to me, it was like that middle July weather here for us. And it was middle of April for them. So I can't fathom what it looks like in July down there now.
Right.
But talking with some of the locals, they're like, yeah, it gets worse. So I'll take it. If that's as much as I had to deal with, that's okay.
Right. Now, that was, World was what, 2 weeks ago?
Yep, April 16th on to the 20th, I believe, was where we rolled.
Okay, perfect. Let's fast forward to
sure
weekend. Let's talk a little bit about states. States is coming up here in Minneapolis. Are you participating in states in any form or?
Well, yes, but no, I guess. And I hope you have post-editing capabilities, because I want to backtrack. One additional item I wanted to add, actually, for the World's competition is we had Team 3134, Cast Lake Bena, the girls team, actually participated at Houston this year. And we also had a couple of the Grand Forks. Grand Force was there. We had Red River Rage competed this year, too, from Fargo. And then also Hatton Northwood, 876. We had War Road. So there was actually quite a few of our NMRC conference teams that participated at Worlds that was fun seeing them there in a competitive aspect as well. So I just wanted to give them props for making it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, you know what? Because we did bring it back to Worlds, I do have one question for
Sure,
you.
fire away.
I noticed I'm not the biggest social media guy, but I do have Facebook, all that other
Hey, yep.
fun jazz. I do follow you. I follow a lot of the
Right.
robotics. I did notice you changed like your profile picture to, I forget what the new team logo was, but it seemed like it was a dragon. What was that about?
So at Worlds, there was actually an unfortunate circumstance that happened, and a student had passed away at the event. And so it was teams kind of showing solidarity for Team 302, which is the Dragons. They had a student who no details were really presented other than they had passed away at the site, unfortunately. And so we were collectively, as a first community, showing solidarity, that support type deal. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And it's one of those things that's a gut check because it can happen, unfortunately. And it's one of those things that life is precious. So we got to look out not only for ourselves, but each other too.
No, that's, again,
100%.
Prayers and all the thoughts in the world to the family. I mean, that absolutely sticks. It does.
It does.
But yeah, let's jump to state. Like you said, you do have yes, no, and it seems like that's always the answer with Curtis.
It is, right?
Round. Yeah.
So this year with state competition, there's 36 teams that are attending. It's going to be hosted at the University of Minnesota again, and it's coming up on this Saturday. Some of the teams are heading out Thursday, Friday, just to kind of be there to do their load in and stuff per the usual. Now, my role, I will be down there with the Minnesota Robotics Coaches Association once again. And we are honoring yet again the Coach of the Years for sections of the state, as well as our overall Coach of the Year. Last year, we implemented all-state student awards for a variety of fields and categories, and we're continuing that this year. And then we are honoring one special representative for our Hall of Fame induction as well. That'll be announced during the finals matches as well. So I will be assisting, whether it be announcing or helping with the awards, organizing who goes what, where, when, just kind of a more semi-official role capacity with the MRCA.
Okay, not bad. Now, Hall of Fame. I'm trying to remember because I know last year we were able to talk with a few of the winners. I'm trying to remember. Was there a Hall of Famer last year?
We have honored a total of 3 years now with Hall of Fame. The very first year, actually, both Kay and Olaf Netteberg were inductees on the inaugural year. We have Mark Lawrence and Ken Rosen in that induction of the first year. Last year, we honored Lori Shimizu, and we also honored the individual who got everything started for the State High School League with robotics as well. And I apologize, but I am absolutely drawing the blank right now. And I hope we can nix that part out while I go to find it. But this year, we are actually honoring one more individual. Okay, I lied. We're honoring individuals who deserve the Hall of Fame induction. And I am not at liberty to discuss because I don't want to share it in advance prior to the actual thing. But it is well-deserved, is the only thing I can truly say, because it is fabulous to see that they are on there for it.
No, and I'm not gonna press you.
Yep, you're good.
For sure. But I will ask you, when it comes to the any of these awards, but especially the Hall of Fame, is this something where it's pretty unanimous? Is there a like, how do you get to that system of these folks?
So with Hall of Fame inductions, and I'll give it a little pause here. So the other individual that we honored was Dave Stead. He's the retired Minnesota State High School League executive director. So he helped add robotics to the State High School League for us, which is a huge feather in the cap because, to my understanding, we're the first and only state in the union to have robotics recognized as a varsity sport on the school level too. So he was key in making that happen. Now to go back to the original question that you stated. So for the Hall of Fame induction and who to nominate and that type of stuff, there is criteria that's involved with it. You do need to be a Coaches Association member to do any of the nominating and or be chosen, essentially. However, with that, we are looking for individuals who've been involved with FIRST for greater than 10 years and on a larger capacity than just a team. So we're looking for those like key players at the state or even national level that are making impacts across their own boundaries and helping everyone rather than just an individual program. And so it's meant to honor, the greatest influences and the true inspirations of robotics is what we're looking to do.
No, that is awesome. And again, like you said, I recognize a few of those names I've interviewed, and a lot of those would be like absolutely 100%. They're all more than worth it, and 100%.
Awesome.
I'm gonna probably guess it's a lot more difficult than being like, oh, here's the 3 we're gonna do this year and everything.
Yeah. So the nominations come in, and actually, what we do as a executive board and also the reps for the Coaches Association is we read through all of the information that's provided and attempt to follow up on references as well as to like why, how, give us the reason they stand out, why, and so then. We vote following to say, yep. And it's not that we don't want to honor people, but we really want to recognize those individuals that are top tier.
Right. No, 100%. No, that is awesome. Now, the event itself states anything that's going to be happening at states that hasn't been happening anywhere else, or maybe something a little bit special with states?
So states, in contrast to like regionals, the state tournament is ultimately the best of the best for competitive reasons across the state. There are a few different ways you can qualify to attend state tournament, but it's all based upon your first week of play at a regional event. So for those teams that have gone to 2, 3, 4 regional events, only their first one currently counts towards their bid for states. And so there is a little contention behind that, but it's almost the most fair way we can provide it at this time until we can get everybody on the same playing field of being able to attend more than one event like you do in regular sports and such. But it's a growth level. But in that light, we take and utilize a variety of the metrics that are recorded in competition, ultimate score, final rank. Did you receive as a team any awards that were judged? Counts towards some of those points and rankings. And so we take as a collective, the state is divided up into 8 sections. The top 2 from each section are granted a bid to state. And then it is the full list, the remainder top down. And so that's how we've received our top 36, which will be participating here on Saturday at U of M. I believe it's still at Williams this year as well.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Now
it is.
Going with the association.
Sure.
So are you going to be able to, sneak away and just enjoy it as a fan as well? Or is it like, I am so booked the entire time?
Good question. It's a good question. Usually I enjoy being able to get there and just spectate a little bit. And what I found myself more often than not doing is not so much just sitting and watching the competition, but I end up more often in the pits. Talking with the teams, talking with the students, talking with the coach. I'm at this competition. I should be watching the competition, but instead I'm hanging out with everybody else in the pits and talking with them and otherwise. So it's kind of the social aspect, what's unique about it and what I take home from First always is that it's not like a traditional sporting event where you don't necessarily you want to associate with the other teams. You want to build that camaraderie and that level of trust and respect amongst one another rather than the competitive grind, you're on your own, how dare you aspect. And so that's just kind of the nature of the beast. And that's what I've grown to love about the sport as well. However, I do believe I will have to sit and watch a few matches because I will be taking one of my sons with who's not really been to a competition before. So this will be a whole new aspect for a 3-year-old, no less, to see robots in action. Because he always talks about, Daddy, you going to robots today? And I'm like, yes, I'll go to robots today because I have my practices after school and stuff. But he hasn't really been to a competition to see what it truly is like. And so it's going to be a fun, whole new experience for him to see it all in action.
Okay, now I gotta ask about
Sure.
your son in the first. So is this first like exposure to robots? Have you brought him in and like shown like, oh, here's our robot for Disney, or is it
right? He's had exposure at school, but he's not been to a competition or seeing other teams in other schools' robots work together. So like he's been in my classroom, he's seen my kids working on our own robot and helping downstairs after school at times, but he's not actually seen them moving and driving and chasing each other around, etc. So that's going to be a whole new perspective for him this time around.
that is so awesome. Again, it's one of those things. I always love, bringing in the family, bringing in the kids, everything like that. But like, it really does. I mean, we said it the entire last year. I say it all the time. This year as well. It's once you get the sip once, you're once you sip the Kool-Aid once, you're going to be kicking around.
You're sold.
Yeah, you're absolutely sold. So just thinking about it, like, oh man, if I was like a kid and this was my first, that was
no doubt.
Yeah,
and it's different because with my first son, he was with us during our practices. He was with us constantly after school. A little easier with one child than it is 2 or 3, but he was there. He was helping. Helping as much as you can when you're a little one learning how to walk. Right. And he was exposed to that. He had been to some of the regional events. And once we came to 2 and 3 children now, they haven't quite attended the same event capacity as we've had in the past. So first experiences, but it should be a lot of fun.
That is so awesome. I'm happy for you to have that time with the kid as well. That's going to be so cool. Well, I mean, we're talking kids, children of the future, everything else like that. Let's actually talk about the future game here.
Sure.
I've already heard some interesting things about it.
Right.
We want to hear it from you. So what is going on with next year's game?
So the running joke of First has always been the teasers. Okay, so you get a teaser trailer usually sometime like 6 months prior to launch and such. And the running joke First has had was they would always tease a water game or something of that sorts. And they did it well enough where they would add just a hint. So like when we had our teasers this year, they had like a guy in scuba gear walking in the background type deal. They're like, oh, look, it's water game. It's confirmed type attitude. But what's unique this time around is they have it named after a water-based game. And so the overall theme of next year is dive. And it's interesting because when we were at Worlds, and they announced that, like, the entire room exploded in like cheers and laughing and excitement. So I'm kind of interested to see what they pull off with this. Now, does that mean they're actually going to have us compete in like swimming pools? I hope not. That's going to be really hard to transport and travel around in terms of like practice. But all things considered, I have a feeling they're going to utilize some of the elements related to water-based themage and some of the concepts. So like this last year's concept, Crescendo, was music themed, and it utilized terms like notes and speakers and amps and such to play the game. And so on a pragmatic standpoint, I feel they're going to have some similarities in that regards, where they're going to utilize some of the terminology to get it into a water themed game, but it's still kind of fun after 10 plus years of teasing a water game idea that they finally, here it is, here's your water game. And so the theme itself is called Dive, which spans across the 3 generations of First, which is the FLL, FTC, FRC. FRC's game itself is going to be called Reefscape, like coral reef. Oh. So it's Reefscape is the new game name. What does that mean? What does it entail? We'll find out in January, because that's when they'll actually share it.
Right. No, it is always, it's awesome to get the teases out there for sure. But yes,
100%.
When I did hear like, oh, it's going to be called Dive, I was like, water.
Yeah, 100%. It's the water game.
I was going, oh, this is awesome. So if, like you said, there's a lot of it's going to be very interesting to see what you guys come up with, because I'll say this. I remember right around this time last year, you talking about Crescendo and teasing that and everything else. Like, it was one of those things where I was going, I have no idea how this is going to look like or anything.
Exactly.
Else. And, we got the game that we got this year. Mm-hmm. Dive, coral reef, all that stuff, like that's going to be very interesting. But going back with this year's game, we are in that, at least when it comes to the season, it's like we're putting a bow on it here shortly. For the game, again, there's no such thing as an off.
With relative speaking, because we do have the off-season events still coming.
Yes. Looking back, 2 questions for you, because again, you've been all over the place. You've talked with a whole bunch of people.
Right.
What do you feel how did this game go over with, multiple teams and places you've gone with? And then, same question, but how do you feel it went over? How do you?
Right. So for me, as a coach, and taking a look at the competitive side of the game, I really enjoyed the concept. I thought it was a well enough designed game that you did have a high caliber of competition. And it was even shown not only at the regionals, but even at Worlds, where the strategy changed as the game was played every time. So things we saw at our regional event weren't even touched at Worlds, but then there were things we've never seen at Worlds happen there too, that it modifies, it adapted and it molded, which was awesome to see in a game, because then to me, it doesn't just feel kind of stale, where you see the same thing constantly happen over and over and over every match. But it did change, and it really was shown, especially in the finals matches. And it was amusing, because I'll give credit to Olaf and Tasha, that they said, defense wins in finals. And that was factual in the final rounds of Einstein, which was the best of the best of 8 fields. Defense was king. And they were the ones that were able to slow others down enough that your team could keep scoring. And so it was awesome to see that adaptability. Pulling from Dean Kamen himself, COVID was a horrible thing that happened across the world. Okay. And it hurt a lot of programs. It shut down many of the things we used to love. First is now finally coming out of that. We're growing, we're getting ground again and expanding further. And his challenge to us as a community is to grow it again, to get back higher and higher to where we had been pre-COVID. And so it's a work in progress. It's happening. It's not as fast, but it's still occurring, which is awesome to see that growth, that excitement is coming back. And then furthermore, like the level of competitiveness on the robots has been increasing drastically each year. I feel especially the last 5 coming out. So we've had some really good games going into COVID. I feel like my favorite 2 are Steamworks and also the Castle Siege. And now I can't think of the name, but the Castle Siege game was my absolute favorite. Stronghold and Steamworks was my second favorite. Just the level of gameplay, the level of intuition, what it took to interact with the elements and such has been growing every year. And that's what's amazing to see. And I love the fact that even coming out of COVID, they're leveling up and stepping up how the game is played. And so it makes for a lot of fun each year, trying to figure out what the new challenges are. I like seeing new, unique game pieces and things that aren't always just a round ball. So adding a little additional element of challenge to that too. Like this note this year, that round floppy disk was not necessarily the most easy thing to get always. And so just adding some of those elements has been a lot of fun. And it's great to see the team's growth, not only my own team, but the other teams and how they are adapting to this change and the increase of speed. It almost feels like it's a exponential slope graph right now where everybody was kind of about the same. And now we're hitting this zone where it's going straight up and up. And so it's awesome. Yeah. It's just now as a community and now as a team, we have to hit that slope as well. And we've got to increase and lean into that and improve ourselves.
And I don't believe that is I don't want to say too big of a hill to climb.
No,
but yeah, no,
it's something that we have to take on our own time, and we'll grow in our own respects, in our own regards. It's just how and what will depend on our students.
No, 100%. Now, and kind of adding on to it, once you said defense, like that is the one thing that I noticed. Like, yeah, defense. What was it 2 years ago when it was? I forget what it was called. I just kept on saying, "Oh, it looks like they're playing basketball." Right.
Yep. Right. The aerial assist,
aerial assist.
Sorry, it's with the cargo, the big red and the blue tennis balls, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, cargo. Yeah. That one, I was like, okay, defense is going to be very important. Everything else, this defense, like how important defense was this year, like that's not, because I was like, man, I think if you're just a speeding, getting those points, I mean, you're going to be fine. But no, yeah, defense became very important very quickly.
100%. And just like with any other competitive game, I mean, you need your offense and you need a defense. You could go full bore brunt force offense, but if you have a very good defender who's attentive and knows what they're doing, they can slow you down drastically. And that was seen specifically at the finals. So it was impressive. And it goes to show that even as a defensive robot, a robot that just drives, you could still help a team win it all.
Yes.
And so it's more the skill of the driver than it is the capabilities of the bot at that level.
Yes. No, yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Awesome.
Before I let you go, any last thoughts? Anything to put a bow on it on your end?
Well, it's been an awesome season. Collectively, we've had growth, speaking specifically from my team, but also the teams in our conference and across the state. We had a lot of great representation, not only at our regional events, the first St. Cloud regional event, the Granite City regional, but also collectively throughout the entirety of the U.S. and the world. And speaking of worlds, like the Worlds event was a fabulous opportunity, and it was immensely, it leaves an impact, and that's what we're trying to aim for, and that's what we're always trying to do with FIRST is help not only the students but the parents, the coaches, the mentors, everyone work together, be a little bit more collaborative on what we do, and share that it can happen as a community. And it's getting better every year. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the years ahead.
Absolutely same here. Absolutely same here. Looking forward to the years ahead. Looking forward to everything else coming out of
Yeah.
robotics. It has been an awesome season for sure. Curtis, thank you so much for your time. It's
Thank you.
fantastic talking
Almost
to you. And for everybody else, we'll be back.